What's going on, guys? PXCam here, back in with a brand new video. We are here for what I believe is a really great combination, one of the best that we've had in a while, and that is Group 2 cars around Lago Maggiore, the reverse edition. Now, I know I got clowned on Twitter and a lot of people did not like this combination, but I like it. I think it's a really good one. We are given the softs and the medium tires, and I think that the fact that we have a really grippy tire on a very medium speed flowy racetrack, I think it just makes for a great combination. The only difficult part is if you are behind the car, it is very difficult to make some overtakes because of the dirty air, as you guys will see on this race. So we get our 3, 2, 1 and away we go, as we are starting right behind the Hungarian of Ollie in the house. So going into turn number 1, we try to take it as nice and easy as we can, but we just go a tad bit too conserve there, as we lose a lot of time to Ollie and actually get pressure from behind from Expungy. And we are starting on the medium compound tires, which now that I learned here, if you're starting off in the front, it's much better to use the soft compound tires. If you use those mediums and you get stuck behind somebody, it's very difficult to try to follow that car, and you can actually lose a lot of time. As you can see right here, we already lost a position, and Expungy is now starting to stretch out his lead from us by about 0.3 of a second. So not off to the best start that we had, but I predicted that Expungy and Ollie in the house were both running on the softs. So if they are running on the softs, then we could kind of keep up with them and manage our gap here as Expungy gets a little bit loose into the S's. I think we should be alright. We should be able to stay with them, and when we switch off to the softs, just re-catch back up to them, as long as we don't make any mistakes here on the medium. So we're already almost done with the first lap here, and Expungy has been able to stretch out his gap a tad bit, even with that mistake going into the S's. And as we come into the final hairpin, you can see Ollie has went about 2 seconds faster than us, and now Expungy has extended his gap from us to about 1.2 seconds. So I'm really struggling with these mediums. I haven't ran this car with the mediums all day, so it's our first experience that we had with this compound, and you can just see how much I'm struggling with them, because I really don't know how much I can push with them, and I felt like I was pushing with them a tad bit too much, so I was causing myself to get into situations where I was making small mistakes here and there. And you can see that was costing us on the time, as now Expungy has extended the lead to 2 seconds in the span of half of a lap. So we're struggling here, and Navy Vision right behind us is catching up as we go very wide off the exit of the S's. And we got very lucky that we didn't spin ourselves out, because once you touch that grass, especially on this car, it is so easy to spin out. And we only lost a position there to Navy, but luckily he did have a penalty. As we pass the penalty zone, we catch up to him very quickly. We had to release the throttle, so we didn't make contact with his rear, but you can see that he blocks Vegas heading into the left-hander, and we get overtaken by Vegas here. So losing positions very rapidly, as it's only lap number 2 and we already lost 3 positions. This is not looking good for us as we go a tad bit wide into the hairpin, trying to avoid the rear of Vegas. And now we're getting pressured by the Spaniard of Jag Tony on the inside, heading into turn number 1. So a little bit cautious here. I didn't want to go side by side into this first corner. It can be very disastrous if the car underneath gets a tad bit of understeer. It just pushes you off into the grass. So we just let him go through. Don't want to risk anything here. And again, I don't know if these guys are running the softs or the mediums. I'm hoping and praying, I'm crossing my finger that these guys are running the softs, because if we can stay with them, then once we switch off our tires, then we'll be able to kind of catch up to them and make some overtakes if we are close enough. But back into Big Banky Boy, we're just following Jack Tony and just staying in the slipstream. We're gonna take a nice little lap around here, around Lago Maggiore in the reverse edition. And again, with the Group 2 cars, I really enjoy it. I think it fits the track really well. I think if it was a medium and hard compound race, then it would have been a lot more difficult to enjoy this race, because it would just be really hard to use the grip here, because if you're running the hard compound tires, you'd be probably sliding almost every single corner. And the fact that the tire wear is pretty severe on this racetrack, after about 4 to 5 laps, your fronts are already destroyed, especially if you're following a car. I think that the combination with the tire wear and having a softer compound just makes for some excellent racing, and for different strategies, as some people like to come into the pits on lap 4, some people like to come in on 5. I've even seen people stretch out the softs all the way to lap number 6. I tried that out once and it kind of worked, but I did lose a lot of time from the people that did the undercut. So you can see somebody already came into the pits, and that's Astray, and I think another person behind him came into the pits as well, as they're gonna switch off from the mediums and go onto the softs for about 6 laps. So in my opinion, a tad bit too early, but hey, we're gonna see if it works out for them, as Jack Tony is now starting to put the pressure on Vegas as he gets a tad bit loose after making contact with the outside rumble strip. We get a great run on him as we move ourselves onto the inside, and we are able to overtake him before we head into this left and right hander, and we find ourselves back in 5th place right behind Vegas, leading us into Big Banky Boys. So very good turnout of events right there. That little mistake from Jack Tony, we were able to capitalize on that, and you can see now that we are starting to catch up to Vegas as we're closing the gap on him, and just finally starting to understand these medium compound tires. Just unfortunate that it took us about 3.5 laps to get this tire compound figured out, but at least we're now starting to make some time here. So before we come into the pits, maybe we can make up some time and not let these guys get too far away, as Ollie in the house up in 1st, and I believe McSpongy as well come into the pits this time around and switch off to sauce, and actually McSpongy stays out for an extra lap, so that's interesting there. But Vegas comes in here, and Vegas is gonna switch off from the mediums to the softs, so not good for us, because if he's gonna switch off to the softs, that means that when we switch off to the softs, we're both gonna be on the similar compound. But he did come in a lap early, and so he is gonna get the undercut, so he might make up about half a second on us. But when we come out of the pits here, and around lap number 9 and 10, when his tires start wearing out, we should be able to have fresh enough tires to make up at least some distance or some time on him, and maybe we can re-overtake him as it comes to the later stages of the race. So this lap was just to push as much as I could. I kind of used Ollie in the house as a reference to see how well we were doing with these tires, and you can see that he only was able to extend his gap from us about 1.5 seconds, since he was on the same compound tires. But we had to come in this lap. We just could not stay out one more lap. We lost a lot of time, and as we serve our pit stop here, you can see we actually lose about 2 positions here, as Jack Tony was able to overtake us, and Astray, that really worked out for him as he was able to get the undercut. And look where he's at here in 6th place. So I believe when he came into the pits, he was about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds behind us. And just because of that undercut, he was able to get ahead of us. And not only that, extend his gap from us to 1 second. So just shows you how strong the undercut can be on this racetrack. And it's really important, because it's very easy to defend on this race, but it is very difficult to overtake. And the reasoning for that is just because of the dirty air, since a lot of these corners are medium speed corners. Once you get into the dirty air, it's very easy to get a lot of understeer on the exit, and that's what actually ruins the tire wear in the front, because you're just putting so much input into the steering wheel that you're just degrading the front tires a lot. So you just have to be very, very careful when you're riding right behind a car, and try to get around them as soon as possible, because again, you're just gonna get that dirty air, get a lot of understeer, and wear out those fronts. So as we come out of turn number 1, you can see that Navy makes a huge mistake, goes onto the grass, and he is now starting to get pressured by Astray as they're making contact here. Navy decides to force him out again, and you can see on the radar, Navy goes back onto the track and spins out right behind us, as we are going to jump into the replay to see what happened. See, Navy just goes a tad bit wide, hits that grass, and Astray tries to take full advantage of that as he goes onto the outside, but Navy just sends it back onto the inside, goes wide, and then tries to come back on the track and just spins out as we ride along with Navy here. Just goes wide, gets into that nasty stuff, and then gets back onto the track and just spins himself out. after making contact with Ashtray. So very unfortunate and bad luck for Navy, but very great luck for us because we were able to make up 2 free positions due to that little scuffle right there. And now we have open racetrack to try to catch up to Jack Tony and Vegas. And these guys do have I believe a lap old tire than us. I don't know what lap Jack Tony came in. I think he came in on the same lap as Vegas. And so you can start to see here now that we are really starting to reel in the gap here as we are now on lap number 8. This is where our tires were really starting to perform well compared to these two because they do have a lap older of tires, and you can just see the difference of pace here with 1 lap and what that does. And not only that, again, Jack Tony has been riding right behind Vegas, and he's actually been pressuring Vegas here as we head into the S's. And so both of them have been having to drive on the limits here, so they've been probably wearing out the tires even more compared to us, since we just had clear open racetrack, kind of preserved our tires. And now we are on the attack as we have caught up to Jack Tony here, heading into this left-hander. Make a little bit of contact with his rear. Wasn't intentional, it just had a lot of speed going into that corner, and Jack Tony had to brake a lot more into the mid part of the corner. Just found ourselves into his rear bumper, but no harm, no foul. Didn't really do anything to hurt or upset his car, so we just keep riding along here as we are showing him pressure all over the rear, and just showing him that we are here and seeing if we can force him into a mistake. That would probably be the more ideal situation, instead of trying to follow in line and trying to make an overtake on a spot that can lead to both of us wrecking. So as we head onto lap number 9, back into turn number 1, we get a bunch of understeer into that first corner, as it's just very difficult to follow someone into that corner, but somehow we managed to do it. And you can see that Jack Tony goes a tad bit wide into the left-hander. We make a little peek onto the inside as we have to avoid him a lot coming out of the corner. And we're now side by side, reminiscent of the pass earlier as we were trying to make the overtake, but we have to give the spot back to him. Goes onto the grass, gets a tad bit wide, and we sneak it back onto the inside of Big Banky Boy, and we are able to make the overtake. So jump back onto the replay. Jack Tony just goes a tad bit wide, hits that grass once again, dirtied up his tires, and just took a little bit of evasive action to make sure in case we did spin out, we weren't in the line of sight of a fight. But you can see that we go into the inside and we are able to brake later than him, and he gives us plenty of room. Really great fun racing against Jack Tony, and we are now able to find ourselves in 4th place, and we are going to try to chase down Vegas right ahead of us with just 1.5 laps to go. So as we head into the S's, this has been one of my strong suits. I've been able to make a ton of time on the S's, not sure why. Just kind of got this part of the track figured out, and you can see how much we corner cut right there. As that's what you have to do. You have to corner cut that left-hander to set yourself up for that final corner on the S's. And if you do everything correctly, you can get a lot of time. As you can see, we were able to pull our gap from Jack Tony from about a 10th to 7/10 here. And look at how much time we caught up to Vegas, as we are now starting to reel him in and get pressure put on him as we now fall ourselves into the final lap. So lap number 10 of 10, 1 lap to go. Can we make the overtake on Vegas? We have the better compound tires. We might have better tire wear than him right now because, again, he was fighting with Jack Tony for about 2 or 3 laps, and you can see he is starting to feel the pressure as he makes a simple mistake, goes wide. We are trying to see if we can make the same move that we did on Jack Tony, but unfortunately we're not able to do that, so we make a little bit of contact with his left rear, and got a little bit scared there. I thought I was going to end up spinning him out by accident. I was just trying to get back into the slipstream, and luckily Vegas was able to hold it together, but we were unfortunate in trying to make the overtake because we just weren't sided or close enough to him into Big Banky that we could outbrake him. So we just got to follow him one more time through the S's. Again, this has been our strong spot, as you can see how much time we're gaining on him. He makes a little bit of a mistake right there as he goes very wide into the left-hander, and that just ruins his entrance and exit off of the right corner. And we are now on the inside as we head into the hairpin. Brake as late as we can, just keep it onto the inside, try to force him out wide, but we just couldn't do anything here, as now Jack Tony gets into the battle. It's 3 wide here, but he has to serve his penalty, And what a series of unluckiness for Jack Tony, as he had to serve his penalty on this fantastic race, and it could have been a 3-car battle for this 3rd place position, but now it's down to a 2-car battle as we attempt to look onto the inside of NRT Vegas. We try to make a wide entrance as we get a yellow flag up ahead and get a really great run off the exit. It's going to be side by side drag race to the line, and it's going to be Vegas for the podium, as unfortunately we were unable to get around him, and we finished this race in 4th place, right behind Vegas but in front of Jack Tony. So great racing to those two. We had a lot of fun here on this final 2 or 3 laps, and they raced me cleanly. They did race aggressively, but they raced me cleanly, and that's all I can ask for when it comes to this game and some of the races that we had here. So again, I learned my lesson. Whenever I'm starting off in the front, I'm going to start using the softs instead of the mediums, and I recommend you guys do that too, because trust me, clean air and faster lap times, because trust me guys, clean air and not having to race anybody can go a long way on this race, and it can, one, save your tires, but not only that, two, put you with some really fast laps, because you have to you are avoiding the dirty air. So trust me, if you guys are starting in the front, use the softs. If you guys starting in the mediums or in the back, or in the middle of the pack or the back, start on the mediums. So let me know how you guys are enjoying this race. Leave it in the comments down below. I know a lot of you guys did not like it, but I'm loving it. And if you guys really enjoyed the video, please feel free to hit that like button and the subscribe button, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. And if you guys want to follow me on the Twitters, Instagram, or even on Discord, you can find all those links in the description down below as well. And since you guys made it all the way to the end of the video, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you guys did, I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace.